This proves that I am the...
Take that, Kamoshida.
This isn't the door of truth.
I might have a little problem.
Don't call me little. Hi Internet, how's it going? Welcome to a special Halloween video of RWBY Reviews. I'm Ricardo.
I'm Ryan.
And I guess you guys can guess what characters we're playing as. We're both characters of shows that we'll likely never see in their quality again.
Yep.
One because the, shows,
because of the
owner's network kind of just plow that thing into the ground. And the other one is because, of course, the voice actor will probably never work with Funimation again. Thanks, guys! In your attempts to, well, help people, you kind of ruin things. Anyways, guys, you might be wondering, why am I creating a video right now? I mean, clearly I'm still reviewing the show, and clearly the season's not over. So, why are we having a comment review right now? Well, this isn't a comment review.
No, it's not.
As some of you might know, Volume 7 is going to be released, I believe, at the end of this week, which is going to be November of 2017. Yeah. So, we decided to share a bit of what we liked and what we didn't like about Volume 6, what we hope and what we fear about Volume 7. Let's go!
Alright.
So, Ryan, what did you like about Volume 6 after finally, like 2 weeks ago, watching it?
Yeah, I finally did it. Well, I have to say my favorite part of Volume 6 was the tribute to Pyrrha.
Oh my gosh, that was beautiful. That was wonderful.
I actually cried when I saw it.
Yes. And if you didn't cry, you have no soul. Which is understandable. You are the internet. I mean, let's face it. Half of us, we lost our souls a long time ago.
Or they never existed in the first place.
Oh, good Lord, was that scene amazing. And to be honest, it came literally out of nowhere. There was no implication that they were going to put it in, nor that they needed to put it in, but they did. And it was just a beautiful scene. It was executed wonderfully. I love that scene. Which is, again, one of the reasons why I keep wondering why people thought that Volume 6 just utterly was terrible. I mean, sure, it ended bad, just like Volume 5, just like Volume 4. I mean, if you think about it, most of RWBY's seasons have ended pretty poorly. There's only like one that ended right, and that was Volume 3. Every other season
despite
just...
what happened in it.
Yeah, despite what happened in it. It was a good end to a show's season. But as for me, one of the things that I loved about Volume 7 was the fact that they...
Or you mean 6?
Or Volume 6.
Yeah.
Was the fact that they managed to implicate a lot of plot points into one central focus. We've been having this complaint over and over again that RWBY really didn't know what it was doing with its plot. They were just like going one way or another. But finally...
Not anymore.
Not anymore. We got a significant growth, not only to just characters, but the story as well. And I absolutely love that. You guys know that I love plot.
They basically...
That was wonderful.
Basically, the character of Jin was basically all of the previous attempts at like the world of remnants, but... done right.
Yes, done right. And I'll get to this because I am not done with Volume 5, but I hope to get to Volume 6. God knows what will happen in the future, but I'll get to this. But I'll say this right now. It is interesting how they did it. And in some ways, it was, bad. But in most ways, it was actually really done well.
We got to see at least part of Jean's family.
That's true. I did like the fact that... I did like that one picture that they brought up, which is basically, I'm not sure which came first. I remember seeing a picture very similar to that was basically fan-made. It was fan-made. It was poorly drawn and everything, but it was very similar to that, and I kept wondering, okay, which came first? Was it this picture, or was it this fan-made, or which inspired the other? I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
So what about Jean's sister did you like the most?
Like, this whole time that we've known Jean, he's talked very little about his family. Just outside the fact that he had a bunch of sisters. So, finally being able to see at least one of his sisters, finally, we actually get to see an extended character outside of, like, Taeyang or Raven.
Well, it was important because it was a side character. Jean is I wouldn't say Jean is a side character, but he's more or less like a side cast. Not the main characters.
He's part of the B team.
He's basically like who can I equate this to that you guys would actually know? He's basically Neville Longbottom. He's not unimportant, but he's certainly not the main focus. But the fact that they managed to focus not only on his family, but deliver in such a believable way was rather enjoyable.
And it came out of left field, too.
Yeah, true. It
just
did
like
come
the
out,
Pyrrha.
It did come out of left field. Now, something that came out of left field for me that I actually really liked was sort of midway through the season, we were just getting these small moments with these characters where they're basically feeling somewhat defeated. And the main reason
you're talking about the apathies.
Apathy was a result of that, but no, it was mainly that feeling that we haven't gotten before. Mostly our characters have been like, we're going to take down the baddie, we're going to win the day! And then finally we get to the, well, I don't want to spoil anything for some people who haven't watched it, but finally certain information is revealed, and the characters literally have to decide whether or not they are going to fight, or if they're going to end up like Raven and just saying, you know what, screw it, it's not worth it in the end, I'm just giving up. And I liked how they sort of worked on each character. I wouldn't say fully, I do believe that some characters are going to need more attention, but to be honest, it was something that we really haven't gotten before. We've gotten some of them sort of dismayed, as we saw in Volume 4, but that was more the result of them finally being introduced to the war. This was them being introduced to what may be the end result, what would likely be the end result of this war. And them having to decide, okay, am I going to continue fighting, or am I going to just try and live my life? And I thought how they did it was very enjoyable as a character growing situation. Yeah. Now, Ryan, considering Volume 6, a lot of people said that was pretty terrible. You have got to have something that you didn't like about it. Just give us one thing for right now.
I have one.
Okay, that one?
Adam.
Oh dear God!
Like the execution of Adam's reintroduction after the end of Volume 5.
Yes, and a lot of people are actually looking forward to this because when we first got the character short, we thought that, oh my gosh, we're going to have more focus on Adam. Maybe they're going to make him into a better character than what he is right now. Maybe they'll fix up and explain why he was acting in such an irrational state. No, they basically just doubled down and said, okay, we got to get rid of this character really quickly. How are we going to do that? Well, I know. We'll just have this climactic battle that usually you'd save after you built up this character. But no, they decided to just throw it in and, well, anyone who's watched Volume 6 knows.
Yeah.
And right now, if you're defending that scene, I feel bad for you because I have a feeling that you're defending it out of love for RWBY, not necessarily out of love for creative integrity. It was a clear just, let's have a lazy writing scene and just
kill him off.
Yeah, get him out of the way. Granted, we're not sure if he's dead.
Because remember what happened with Cinder.
Yeah, no body.
It's no basically one of the major rules of fiction. If you don't see a body, you can't count them as dead.
Now, to be honest,
unless you see
doesn't have a body, but
unless you see them disintegrate.
Yeah, that's a different story altogether. Pyrrha, or in the case of Roman, we clearly got a basically non-verbal response that yes,
he's dead.
He gone. He ain't coming back.
He got AIDS.
Which I'm a little sad about. But
unless somehow, wait, I wonder, do Grimm poop?
We don't know, but it didn't matter. That Grimm exploded.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. It's been a while.
And plus we tried to block a lot.
Yeah.
The end of that. You know,
although
PTSD is absurd.
I do have one more thing that I did actually like about Volume 6.
Yes, and this on a positive note for Volume 6. Volume 6 got a lot of heat. Let's try to end this with a little bit more positive.
I like the fact that they went a little bit more into the whole, you have silver eyes. We got to learn a little bit about that.
I will say I did enjoy that. A lot of people, for some reason, I got very confused about this. A lot of people complained the fact that they brought in a character to help explain those silver eyes. When I saw it as something that was needed but never brought up. The fact that RWBY was given these ability but didn't have anyone who could really explain it. Yes, there was Ozpin, but we all know what he's like with secrets. But
and also what happened in Volume 6 too.
Yes, what also happened in Volume 6.
He wasn't going to talk to anybody.
Turns out that having secrets is not always a good thing.
Yeah.
You may be trying to protect people, but in the end, they may not see it that way. But I will have to admit that, yeah, bringing in the character to help explain the Silver Eyes, and more importantly, help explain that it's not exactly unique, but instead just very rare, not only helps normalize and makes Ruby a bit more of a humanized hero, but it also gave her something to fight for. Something to grow and adapt to becoming better.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't hurt that the character that they used was funny.
Yeah, I will admit there's certain character designs and both in a aesthetic and of course how her lines were written that were a little iffy here and there. But at the most part, let's just admit,
she was pretty funny.
It was an entertaining character, okay? Yeah. And I love the fact that they basically set that up to begin with. That this is going to be just an entertaining character. Don't take it too seriously, which I think is
except for with that flashback. That was
Jesus Christ. That was brutal.
Yeah,
I'll admit anybody who's seen that particular episode knows what I'm talking about. And yeah, that was brutal. Yeah. But as for me, when it came to Volume 6, there is a lot I did not like. But the main thing I would have to say is how it ended, mainly because I could tell that they were trying to end it in such a way that they were trying to get people to like the show. Forgetting that we already mostly like the show, we need you to add a bit of stake to it.
Yeah.
It ranges from, yes, of course, the scene with Adam, but most importantly, just the villains in general. Because Volume 5, we had a decent setup to certain villains, and also Volume 6, we were hoping to get more of that, only to basically get one villain that was designed to fail, and the other one that was just so ludicrously stupid you couldn't take her seriously at all.
Although that Gurren Lagann reference at the end.
Oh yes,
that was glorious.
Anybody who's watched it, there are a lot of references that you can just say, okay, that was from this show, okay, that was from this movie. But there's just one that is like, okay, I can literally shout out, my drill will pierce the heavens! And you can just start rolling around on the floor laughing because it, I will say, well, again, yeah, most of the ending I did not like. That was one thing that I did. And now switching to something that I did like were those itty-bitty references. Those itty-bitty moments in which they just tried to say, okay, guys, listen. We either take this name seriously, an anime, or we go home. And I'm glad that they did that. In some cases, yes, it does not work. But in most, I would have to say it does. There's certain body movements, and again, certain just blatant, more or less blatant references.
Giant robot with a giant drill.
I mean, yeah,
that
whose body is basically a face. Let's just face that. It was basically one big face. So I love the fact that they did those little references. Yes, again, the volume ending, it sort of sucked. And it was the same as Volume 5. There was a lot of things that was good.
It started really well.
The one thing that just went wrong. And of course, it had to be close to the ending.
Yeah. Here's hoping that Volume 7 will get back on track.
And speaking about that, let's talk about what we are hoping for Volume 7. Again, it's going to be released in a week, and to be honest, I am not going to watch it until the very last episode is aired, and then I'm going to, of course, find a way to watch it. Now, going on Roosterteeth's site for two reasons. One, my internet sucks, which means that their site sucks, even worse than it already is. And two, protest, okay? Just going to state that right now. Don't like what you're doing, Roosterteeth. You start becoming a little better, start becoming more open to the fans.
Again, like it used to be.
Yeah, like it used to be.
Because, I mean, let's face it, they had contests to design character outfits.
Honesty and transparency. Those are the two attributes that you need to put first and foremost when it comes to just dealing with anything that involves your fans. Honesty and transparency. You're one of the very, very few companies out of the millions in the world that actually has a fan base that feels that they're close to you. Take advantage of that. But in speaking about what we're hoping for Volume 7, apart from honesty and transparency, especially in considering certain voice actors, what I'm hoping for Volume 7 is the fact that we're going to be in Atlas.
Yes, finally!
Is I'm hoping that they focus on Weiss's family. Not specifically like they did in Volume 4 where they did inter-family problems, but how the Schnees are in comparison to the government. How much control and power they have.
I want to see Weiss's mother.
Come on.
Finally, we've seen Shitley. We have seen Shitley and Jacques
given that.
and Winter. We have not seen Weiss's mother. That's the only Schnee we have not seen.
I think we can all agree on this. How awesome would it be that we just get this silent, somber moment of Weiss returning home, but instead of going to see her father, instead of seeing her brother, instead of even seeing her sister, she just walks towards the garden, where she finds her mother just alone and in silence. Also, to the point where her mother doesn't even recognize that she left.
Yeah. Also,
and just that defeated moment, encompassing also the triumph of what Weiss has become.
Yep. Also, I just want there to be at least one scene with Weiss's mother and Crow drinking together.
I actually think that, to be honest, it's basically been finished editing, but let's just be frank. If we don't first discover Weiss's mother in a bar drinking next to Crow, not knowing who the either are,
well, I mean, that would be Crow we're talking about. He would probably know who she is.
Well, he would know. Well, I think it would be funny if he confused her for Winter.
Well, the only thing I can think, like the thing I can see happening is Crow is just so drunk that he doesn't recognize her.
That would be pretty funny. Again, just giving us these unique character moments, and
because we already know that
that's
Weiss's mother
we're
drinks.
Definitely hoping for is that the fact that Volume 6, I would have to say, is one of the downsides is that there are certain times where the characters just sort of aren't what they used to be.
Yeah.
In terms of entertaining, in terms of enjoying each other's company, in terms of us having such a unique link with them. And getting back to that in Volume 7 will definitely be entertaining.
Yeah.
Something that
a return to basics.
Hope for. Exactly. Return to basics. I said this basically, I think, in my previous review. Not the previous, probably the one before that. It's hard to keep track. Sadly, YouTube keeps blocking them, so they come out like a year later. But I basically said that where basically Team RWBY, minus Blake, sit down with Team Juniper and just start enjoying a meal. That it was basically a return to the
arm wrestling match.
Yes,
the arm wrestling match between Yang and Nora.
True humor and everything. That was a little
downgrade. It fit their character.
But it would fit their character. That was the most important part. It felt like it was back in the old days.
Like the food fight.
Which is something we kind of need, especially considering that a lot of viewers are feeling that RWBY is changing and changing for the worse.
Yeah.
So just something small like that would definitely bring back some of the old viewers. But speaking about the hope and some of the old viewers, I'm hoping that when it comes to Volume 7, that we get less of the jumpers. Less of the jumpers and shouters, whoever they may be. Less of the people who jump onto RWBY because, oh my gosh, it's the greatest show ever! Or the people who jump off RWBY saying, oh my gosh, it's terrible. Or the shouters are like, oh my gosh, this is like the best thing in the world. Bumblebee confirmed and all that junk. And of course, those people are like, oh my god, Roosterteeth is killing RWBY. Listen, people, it's their show. They can literally do whatever they want. They can say, screw Monty, he can burn in hell for all we care. We're going to do it our way. It's still their show. The only thing we can do is encourage them to do what is right for the show and hope that they do what is right. That's about as much as you can do. True. I like to stay with the positivity that hopefully one day the CEO of Disney will be carted out and executed in front of everybody, and copyright will be finally relieved, and people can start making new shows. More importantly, start remaking old shows. And yes, believe it or not, someday there may come a day in which they're saying, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be remaking RWBY. Who knows what might happen? Believe it or not, not a single show or story out there is free from being remade. I mean, come on. We had 2 of them.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the only reason they did a second one was to have it more in line with the manga.
Yeah, but they didn't need to, okay?
Yeah.
They didn't need to. They can have easily just said, okay, once enough and then we're done. That's the only one.
But then we got the masterpiece that was Brotherhood.
Yes. Well, to be honest, beginning of the first one was actually really good, and then it ended poorly. And the beginning of Brotherhood was kind of stiffy, but it ended wonderfully. Which tells you, which is another thing I hope for RWBY, is that it ends well. We need another Volume 3. Not another Volume 3 specifically.
Like, not the events of Volume 3, but the...
In which we feel that this is a good ending to a season.
Yeah, especially in the case of Volume 3, we didn't know if we were going to get more.
Exactly. That was also a fearful thing.
Heck, we weren't even sure if we were going to get Volume 3.
Yes. Oh, and one thing I do hope for is that they slow down. If you noticed in previous volumes, specifically 5 and 6, they seem to have sped up certain events, specifically events involving the White Fang, that should have been clearly dragged on a little bit in order to develop not only the villains, but our characters struggle with the villains.
Yeah.
That's something I hope that they do. I mean, they're the guys who are like, we're going for 18 seasons! And of course, everyone out there with half a mind that knows about RWBY is like, yes, please, I would watch 18 seasons of this if done well.
Yeah. And
let's just be frank. RWBY had paced itself up to, I would say, Volume 4, Volume 5, well enough to endure that long. Yeah. Now it seems that they're kind of speeding certain things up, and I don't like that because as much as slowing things down seems slow, let's be frank, even some of the slow episodes, we enjoyed them.
Yeah.
Because of what they focused on, which was characters and development. I love that, and I sure hope that for RWBY Volume 7. But since we've been dancing around the subject, now we're going to talk about what we're afraid we're going to get in Volume 7. Being a little realistic here. Sorry, I know this is the internet. We don't like realism, but man, we are talking about an anime here, which definitely doesn't like realism. Yeah. But sad to say, reality is still a bitch, and we got to talk about it. Let's talk about one of the main issues. The fact that one of the characters got a different voice actor. You might know who that is.
Yeah.
And one of the things we're fearing is not so much that he'll do a bad job, because they did release some audio of him, and it does seem to be close enough.
Yeah, but it's gonna take some getting used to, because it's not like a Mercury situation
where he didn't have enough lines and he wasn't a strong enough character for us to really notice.
Yeah, but
this is a very beloved character.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things we do fear is A, that the voice actor can match his voice, but not his personality. Because let's face it, Crow has a very distinct personality, and Vic Mignogna was able to bring about that personality very well. But one of the things I fear more than that is people in how they're going to respond to this. Either because, again, he comes on stage and he
looks like it kind of sounds like Vic, but
it clearly ain't Crow, and we're not going to be able to accept it. And it just feels incredibly off. And you have those people going, "Oh my gosh, of course he's not Crow. He's not the same person." I mean, come on, guys. I looked up a bit of this guy, and he doesn't look like he had anything, even involvement to do with recent events concerning Vic. So he's just a third party that's hoping to do a good job, and I hope he does. But let's be frank, we are afraid of those people who are just going to shout and scream one way or another, whether it be, okay, because he's clearly not as good as Vic, or, oh, he was totally so much better than Vic. I hope Vic gets killed. You're not helping the situation, you idiots. So that's one thing we do fear, which, speaking about the community, that is another thing I have to say is deeply on my mind, is that how they're going to respond to Volume 7, and whether it be good or bad. Yeah. Because to be honest, you guys know me, I don't like going extreme in one way or another. I'll praise them when they do something right, and I'll hold them accountable when they do something wrong. Maybe just how I was raised and everything. But I don't think I'm alone out there in saying that when it comes to certain individuals in the comments section below, we just can't stand the way that they just don't seem to think about putting a filter on and thinking before they speak. Because indeed, you can ruin this for somebody by just commenting wrong, by either making them feel that they don't want to be part of the community, which, let's be frank, that was one of the strongest things about RWBY, is that it had such a devoted community, not just to the show, but to each other. The fact that somebody could come on wearing cardboard boxes in the shape of a character and everything, and they're like, great cosplay! And that was pretty fun.
And not be sarcastic,
too. Not be sarcastic. Actually be positive towards it. Yeah. Because they said, hey, you're enjoying the show. I enjoy the show.
You put effort into...
I'm glad that you enjoy the show.
Yeah, and you put effort into making something...
Even hearing people criticize it and say, well, yeah, I have to admit, that's sort of a problem, but it doesn't take away my joy from the show.
Yeah.
I do fear that we will getting less of that in Volume 7, especially since, as you guys know, particular events in Rooster Teeth have sort of fragmented the community a bit.
Yeah.
Not just the community inside the company, but also the community outside the company.
Yeah.
Its fans, people who are just casual viewers. I hope that Volume 7 does help fix that, because
we don't need another toxic community.
Yes, we don't need another toxic. Again, regardless of which way it goes, it doesn't help anybody. Yes, there are always going to be those diwits out there who just do nothing but complain.
Yes.
Those morons who do nothing but praise. And of course, we're always going to have shippers shouting, "Confirmed!" Yeah. But at the end of the day, let's just have you asking yourself, do I really want to be the jerk who ruins it for somebody just because I didn't like it? That's why I say, just because I didn't like a particular scene doesn't mean it's bad. I didn't really like the fact that how the robot fight with Roman and Team RWBY sort of arose, because it looked like it was just like, okay, we got to have a fight in here. Let's throw in the fight. But I understood why it was good, and I understood why people liked it, and I had to admit, that's not why it's bad. It's just a little contrived, and to be honest, that's true.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's bad. So let's just hope and pray that we don't get those kind of people, especially, like I said, considering how fragmented the RWBY community has become.
And just Rooster Teeth in general.
Yes, sadly. So let's hope that they get together.
I have several things I hope for. One, that it doesn't suck.
Yes, that's something we definitely don't need.
Because if this volume does bad, I don't know if they're going to be able to continue doing the show and actually have it, like, actually be able to make enough, like, because this is from a business perspective.
Yeah, sadly, Rooster Teeth has become more business oriented right now.
They need to work for their bottom line. So if Volume 7 doesn't do good enough or better than what they're expecting, there might not be a Volume 8, because they might say it's not worth it to continue this show.
Yeah.
Like, look at Nomad Out of Nowhere.
Yeah. I mean,
perfect example of that.
I will admit, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good enough, and that's the key point. Think about Volume 5. Everyone thought that one was terrible, so when Volume 6 was coming up, people were very tentative in watching it. That's the problem. If it's not good enough, there might not be enough people to watch it. More importantly, people to buy merch.
Yes.
So let's be frank. RWBY is still, and that is one of my fears, that RWBY eventually becomes a Rooster Teeth first exclusive, which will basically kill the show. Let's be frank,
I think what they're probably going to end up doing is what they did with Genlock.
Yeah,
where it was basically, it looked like it was going to be a Rooster Teeth first exclusive.
Even then, Genlock could have done it so much better. Yeah. I liked what Rooster Teeth did at first. Granted, I thought they should have extended it a little bit, but where they basically said, okay, it's going to be released on Rooster Teeth first for everyone who wants to support us, and then sometime down the line, a week or 2 weeks, I think it should be at least 2 weeks.
Yeah,
we'll release it for free. Why? Because it's a decent enough time. You're not going to be caught up, and more importantly, you're not going to be able to be involved in the community because you're afraid of spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, I think I will say that what they did with Genlock was smart-ish.
Kind of.
Because while you got the first episode free,
a lot of people out there that started bootlegging that.
Yeah, but they did
release it for all to see.
Yes, but that
was a smart choice.
It was a longer delay, which I think it was a little bit too long of a delay, but.
Well, it's not just a too long a delay. It's the fact that they really didn't mention that, hey, we're going to release it for free later on. Please, those who can, support us and watch it now.
Because I think their thinking was, because that's how they always did it.
That people would just assume, but they were also forgetting that they were changing a lot and people were getting very scared.
Yeah, people were leaving, like people left the fandom.
That's one thing we're definitely fearing for Rooster Teeth and RWBY. No controversy, please.
No more
of anything. We've had our fill for the entire year. We're tired. Just get back to providing us with good content that's designed for us. Not designed to pat your bottom line. Because at the end of the day, you make good content designed for us, we will then support you. Make content to pat your bottom line, we will pull away. It's basically business 101. But anyways, I think the last thing I fear about Volume 7 is that Roosterteeth, again, panders. RWBY wasn't so bad about it. Volume 6, there was maybe one or two things in which you could say, yes, they clearly pandered, and maybe a few more that was like, well, it depends on your point of view.
Yeah.
But as we saw clearly with Genlock, there was a lot of pandering in certain areas. And the problem is like I said, I'll bring this up when I get to certain parts. We don't need any of that in RWBY.
Yeah. It worked better in Genlock.
Kind of.
Yeah, because, I mean, there's always going to be that, the self-referential stuff, which RWBY already did a lot of that. But and now RWBY's grown beyond that.
The point is that it's clearly wasn't the main focus.
Yes.
And considering Roosterteeth going more of the business orientation, we know what happens when those businesses try to pander. It isn't because they're like, hey, let's throw in something a reference that they'll get. Or here's a little, get it? It's going to be clearly, how can we get people to come to our side? Let's just face it, you pander to these particular people, it's the worst thing you can do, because there's just not enough of them.
Yes.
Not going to make your money off it, okay? And you're going to alienate everyone else. So do what RWBY used to do and what Roosterteeth used to do.
Do
basically where we didn't notice it if you weren't in the know.
Yes, exactly.
If you weren't in the know, you didn't notice it. If you were in the know, you did, and you thought it was awesome.
Like like some sort of big cat line from one of the earlier volumes of RWBY, or as a reference to Red versus Blue.
As I've continued to say, and you'll probably get this soon, is one of the things I don't like them pandering is to particular social justice groups out there. But when it came to RWBY Volume 5, as I'm showing right now, there was a particular character who was clearly a pander character to particular orientations of the sensual nature, but I thought it was one of the great representations of one, because it was more important about the character than it was about this particular aspect of her. And I think that's what I think that Roosterteeth should focus on. It's about the character and not this particular aspect. Sadly, as I said in Genlock, one of the characters, it was literally pushed forcefully to the front, saying, this is me, this is who I am. And we were going, no, that's a particular part of you. I want to know who you are. What do you like? What do you fear? What is going on? Anyways, there is a lot that we loved and a lot we didn't like when it came to Volume 6. And I'm sure that's going to be the same story when it comes to Volume 7.
And we just have potentially to beyond.
Yes, we just have to wait and see.
Everything's going to have like its good points and its bad points, especially with RWBY.
Oh yes. As I said,
nothing's
before. Every season has had its ups and its downs.
Yes,
it's nothing new. I mean, think about Volume 1. Its episodes were like 5 minutes long tops.
Outside of the first episode.
Yes.
Well, because it was a two-parter.
Apart from that, it had like literally no plot and no villains.
But we still loved it.
We still loved it. Why? Because the characters, the things that were bad about it, didn't take away the joy that we had about the things that were good.
And look,
it didn't overshadow or the good overshadowed it. No, it's just that that was clearly bad. It doesn't matter. I still loved it for this, and that's why I have to say that we're all hoping that RWBY, more importantly, that its community understands. Because let's be frank, it's weird how that happened. Volume 4 is the worst volume. Volume 5 is the worst volume. Volume 6 is the worst volume. And then when we look back and we go, okay, yeah, it was bad in certain areas, but it wasn't the worst.
Yes.
It just sucked in certain areas.
It's like the old saying, there's always a bigger fish.
Oh yes.
In this case, there's always going to be another bad season.
Yeah. But
that makes previous seasons
good things about that season.
Yes.
That's why I say, yes, acknowledge the bad. Why? Because as a creator, it will help them understand what went wrong and what they needed to fix.
Yes.
Volume 5? Shoot, we don't really have that much plot and we're 5 volumes in. Oh, shoot. we'll fix that in Volume 6.
And they did!
Yes! They did! And it was amazing!
We got
I loved
more lore.
Not only because it was a build to the story, but it worked on the characters. Volume 4. Oh, shoot, we really don't have that much fight scenes. Oh, Volume 5. Shoot, we really don't have that many fight scenes. Volume 6. We're going to make sure that what fight scenes we do have, they're going to be good.
They're going to stick.
And for the most part, I'll say yes. Yeah, actually, we're pretty good, and we're entertaining.
Yes.
And that's the point. We acknowledge what is bad so that they can build on what is good. We praise what is good because at the end of the day, that is what basically every show, every book, everything that is created is designed to.
Yes. It's always
entertain you, to inspire you.
Yes. And it's always a growing process.
Yes.
It's until the show is completely done.
Yes.
There's always going to be room to improve.
That's why anytime everyone's like saying, you know, RWBY's just clearly know what it's going to be, I'm not going to watch it. I'm like, why? RWBY's not done yet. Watch it.
Watch it through to the end.
For all you know, the very last season could be such the most amazing season in the world that, oh my gosh, it just overshadows every other show.
Yeah, I mean...
Or it could be the worst season. You don't know. You won't know until you watch it.
I was actually in that position after Volume 3. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to continue watching this. I'm like, I literally, I didn't end up watching Volume 4 until...
Basically, Volume 5 is almost done.
Yeah, no, until just before Volume 5 started airing, because I didn't watch Volume 4. Yeah, I didn't watch Volume 4 until like literally the week before Volume 5 had its theatrical premiere, because I had bought the Blu-ray. I'm like, I guess I'll buy the Blu-ray, and I watched it. I'm like, okay, I'm back into this.
Yeah.
It retained my interest.
At the end of the day, guys, there's a lot to like about RWBY and a lot to not like about it. But let's be frank. You're not going to have a good opinion unless you watch it. And more importantly, you're not going to know unless you watch it. Because let's be frank. There's a lot of shows out there that people told me are just the bomb. I went to watch it and I didn't like it. There were some movies out there that people said these are the worst. I went and I laughed my butt off. You're not going to know until you watch it. You have your own personal preference on something.
Exactly.
And it may vary just ever so slightly, but that so slightly may be enough to make it enjoyable. But you won't know. And let's be frank, you can more or less download most of these seasons onto your phone. And I know you guys spend a lot of time on the toilet. I've seen your Angry Birds score. Just watch a few minutes of each episode. You'll eventually get through the season. And who knows? You may end up liking it.
Yes.
And that's what's important. That's why anime, that's why these other shows, that's why movies and shows exist. Is that so that if you like it, you can be entertained, educated, and inspired by it. But anyways, guys, yeah, this has just been an interesting video that I wanted to put out because, again, I was just hearing so many people talk about Volume 7 and deeply questioning whether or not they were going to watch it. And for me, I was like, well, for me, I have no choice. I have to watch it. I'm a critic and everything. But personally, I wanted to watch it just to see what happened next. I saw Volume 6, and as I stated in my first impressions of Volume 6, it was nothing special. Heck, I stated in my first impressions of Genlock, the one that everyone kept saying, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. And I said, no, it's not. It's decent at best. Volume 2 come out. Good sir, I would like a plate of Genlock Volume 2, please. Right here. Thank you very much.
I mean,
I'm going to watch it. Why?
It's the same thing.
Who knows? There may be some points that I actually really enjoy.
Yeah, it's the same thing with RWBY Volume 1. We didn't know where the show was going.
Yes. Oh,
it was bare bones, but it was liked enough that we actually were able to continue watching it.
Hey,
it's the same thing with Genlock.
I've said this before with certain shows, with Future Diary, with Elfen Lied, that there have been just certain shows that clearly were bad one way or another, but I watched them just specifically for certain good points.
Exactly.
Just so that I can get that amazing moment that I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like rewatching it all over again. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that some of you do continue to support Roosterteeth, mostly in holding them accountable. A lot of people don't want to do that for some reason. I don't know why nowadays. Just hold them accountable. If they do something stupid, point it out.
Yeah.
Praise them and encourage them to do better, but hold them accountable.
Yes.
Because when it came out, a lot of people weren't holding accountable, and then when Roosterteeth clearly started going downhill, they just turned on him and like no second flat, and it was a little awkward because it's like, okay, they were sucking and you didn't say anything, and now you criticize them for not saying it. What?
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, I hope that you watch Volume 7, and I hope that you go back and rewatch some of RWBY volumes and find out what was actually good about it. And I hope that you actually enjoyed it. Anyways, I've been Ricardo.
I'm Ryan.
You guys take care.
All right.
Toodles.
I'm going hero.
And then I'm going to put something right here that he's not going to know about, but it's going to embarrass him.
Come on.